What's up YouTube, Day over Zephyr Wargames, bringing you the test stand video as requested for the first place 6 Samurai True King deck profile that I did for you guys the other day. Now the best way of showing off the combos and consistency of this deck is of course by doing test stands. The standard combos still apply with Diagram and or Wind True King plus Fuma. That will get your plays going endlessly. Regardless, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do our standard test stands of 3 going first, 3 going second, show you what the deck can do, and show you some of the variations that the deck has the ability to make. So without further ado, we're going to let our imaginary opponent cut there, just to make it fair, and show that the deck's had a real shuffle. And then we're going to go with our opening hand of 5 being busted, apparently. Our opening hand of 5 is busted. So we're going to start off by activating United. We're then going to activate our Diagram. Diagram is then going to destroy our Fuma in hand, and Fuma, of course, is then going to get her effect off after we've searched off a Diagram. So Diagram is going to search us the Wind True King, Water True King, Barastos. Fuma's effect is going to go off to get us a Kizaru. Kizaru's effect is going to go off to search us out a Fuma. There we go. United is at 1 token right now. We're then going to activate the Wind True King's effect to destroy Fuma and the Water Barastos. They're going to go to Graveyard, make Barastos chaining 1 and Fuma chaining 2. Fuma then goes off to give us, if we want it to, can either searches out our Gemba or can searches out our Hatsume, special summon us out our Hatsume. If we search out our Kizaru, then can search you out your Hatsume anyway. We're then going to activate United and draw 2. Let's resolve Barastos first, that would be a good idea. Barastos would then give us, where are we? The Fire True King. You could bring out the Wind True King if you want to, but you'd rather keep that in deck, to be totally honest. There we go, let my opponent cut. Then we're going to use United's effect to draw 2. Another United and another Diagram. So, what we're going to do is we're going to activate our next United as well. And we'll activate our second Diagram. Now, we can link these guys together. You can either go into your Azodil, which again would be completely fine. Let's put her over here. Because by going into our Azodil, we don't need to search if we don't want to. You can do to extend your plays for the next turn, or to deck thin. It's entirely up to you. Because we're going to have something banished, I am going to search out our Gemba. We're going to use Azodil's effect to send Black Pendant to Graveyard, burn our opponent for 500, and then special summoning out our Fuma. That means United now has 1 more token. We're now going to normal summon our Hatsume, giving our United 2 tokens. So we'll cut. Oh, hello. Cut the deck again, and we're going to draw another 2. There we go. Get rid of United to draw another 2, just in case we get into another United. You can either activate your Rhoda right now, or you can save it, because then you know a bit more specific of what you want your next turn. Regardless, we're now going to use Hatsume's effect to banish both a Fuma and a Kizaru, and we're going to bring back a Kizaru. Now, by bringing back Kizaru, he can't search anything because we're kind of locked out of every single attribute. If you bring back Fuma, you could technically go into a Shien, but the plays with Kizaru is a little bit better depending on what you want to do to your opponent. So I'll show you what the options you've got. If you bring back the Fuma, you would then sink these guys into Herald of Art Light, and you can either leave it there, or you could then use the Fuma here to go into a Shien. By bringing back our Kizaru, we would then sync these all together for a level 8, and that would be, of course, our Psyframe Lord Omega. If you wanted to use Omega in the deck, you can then rip one from your opponent's hand, so they're starting with 4 cards. And then if you wanted to, you would then go overlay these guys, and you have 2 options here. You go VFD, which is your pure shutdown, or of course, if you wanted your opponent to play the game with 3 cards in hand, you would go for Enter Blafnia. There we go. You would go into Phantom Fortress, enter Blafnia, and rip one for your opponent's hand, and they're now playing the game with 3 cards. and then Omega can then recycle, if you wanted to keep him in board, one of your Fumas. Not that it's a big deal, because next turn you can normal summon your Gemba. Gemba would bring back your Kizaru. So it does give you a couple of options there to kind of play around with. So that kind of shows you what you can do as either a lockdown or just a pure rip from your opponent's hand kind of plays. And they're already 500 life points down. Not that it makes a huge amount of difference, but that 500 could be all the difference you need when it comes to the end of the duel. Anyway, now let's go on to our second test stand going first, and we'll start to speed this up a little bit just so you can kind of see how the deck can continue to operate. So, cut the deck there. There we go. And we're going with our opening hand of 5 being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not the best Kizaru we want in hand, but it does give us a Shien, so we will activate our Dojo, we'll activate our United, we'll normal summon our Kizaru, obviously 1 token on Dojo, 1 token on United, activate Dojo's effect to special summon out our Fuma. There we go. United is now on 2. Monster Reborn certainly helps. There we go. Cut it. Activate United to draw 2. Fire True King. And a Dojo again. So we activate the second Dojo. We would link these up. If we want to, you can sync into a Shen, entirely up to you, but linking up into Izodil can kind of help you out a little bit better, because we do have more place to work. Izodil can then send Black Pendant, burning our opponent for 500. We would then special summon out our Fuma. Fuma can go over there. Dojo is now on 1 token. Now, we've got a couple of options here. If we wanted to, we could activate Monster Reborn, bringing back our Kizaru. Now, we have already used our normal summon, but by bringing back Kizaru, Kizaru can then search out either our Hatsume or our Gemba. Now, by bringing out Gemba, we have a fire attribute for our True King. Where are you, Gemba? There he is. Now, Dojo is now on 2 tokens. We could, of course, search something else out and use Dojo to bring us out a Gemba. It's entirely up to you. But we're going to try and boost these up so we get the majority out of it. So it's now on 2 tokens. We're then going to activate our Fire True King's effect, destroying Gemba and Fuma. And that's going to bring him to board. Our Fuma is now going to go off as well. And it could, of course, if we wanted to, go into a second Kizaru. And Kizaru could then search us out another one. By going into Kizaru, Dojo is now up to 3 tokens. So we're now going to use Dojo's effect to bring out our Hatsume. Now, this is where it kind of gets interesting and comes down to personal preference again. You could, if you want to, either link these up or overlay these into a Baguska, anything like that. By doing so, the options of your end board can be bring back a Fuma, go into a Trishula, rip one from your opponent's hand, and then overlay into a VFD. Then if you wanted to, you could link up into a Deco Talker. You could overlay these into a Baguska after you've already used your Hatsume effect, of course, because then you would activate Hatsume's effect and go into Herald of Art Light. It really comes down to what your opponent is playing. Now, me personally, your other option is you can bring back Gemba and then use these three here, sorry, and go into. So let's banish a Fuma, let's banish both Fumas, because at least it leaves us with a bigger beta on board. So we would then sync 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or of course you can use this one if you wanted to. Go into a Trish. Trish would then rip one from your opponent's hand. You would then overlay these guys into your VFD, and then during your opponent's standby phase, you would activate that and lock your opponent out for a turn. Then whatever they've put on the board, you would draw for turn. It's a United, not that big of a deal. You would activate Rigeki, nuke your opponent's board, and then you've got swing in, swing in, swing in. Hold on to United if you want to, and then you would pass your turn, VFD again, locking your opponent out for another turn, draw into a Fuma, and then of course you can normal summon your United, activate United, normal summon Fuma, put 1 token on that, go into a Shien. Obviously this is all, of course, if your opponent has left your board untouched. Shien then gives you protection. You then get United's effect to draw 2 more. There you go. And you can kind of make your plays go on from there. So that was kind of fast forwarding through a couple of turns. But you can kind of see how the deck evolves and develops as you go. But like I said, VFD is kind of your win con in this deck. It is the most powerful win con because it has the ability to stall the game out, slow it down until your 6 Sams are ready to hit full power. Anyway, let's do our final test hand going first, and then we'll start getting a bit more aggressive and show you what the deck can do going second. There we go. So our final test hand of 5 will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, good start already. Activate Diagram. Diagram's effect to destroy Fuma. Resolve Diagram, searching out the Wind True King, and then resolve Fuma. Fuma giving us our Kizaru. Our Kizaru will then resolve and search us out a Fuma. We can then activate the Wind True King's effect. Now you've got 2 options here. You can keep your normal summon with your Kageki. If you want to banish the top 4 of your opponent's deck, then you'd use Fuma and Kageki. If you're not too worried about that, I would then say get rid of your Kizaru and your Fuma, because that in turn would of course give you another Kizaru, and Kizaru can then be more useful on a search. In this kind of scenario, because there's no other True King, we need to get into a Trish to make the most out of it. If we hit Fuma and Kageki, leaving Kizaru on board, Fuma can then bring us out Kizaru, and Kizaru can then search us out either a second Hatsume or, of course, the Gemba. Let me just try and figure this one out. Yeah, cool. So if we go with the Hatsume, we've got plays for next turn. Oh, actually, go with Gemba. Gemba gives us plays for next turn. If you want to, you can link these guys together, go into an Azodil, give you another Fuma on board, and then you would Hatsume, bring back... yeah, but I think this is the better play of doing it this way. You would normal summon your Hatsume, use Hatsume's effect to banish a Fuma and Kageki to bring back a Fuma. You would then sync these guys up into a Trish. Trish would then rip one from your opponent's hand, then overlay into VFD. Detach the True King, shut your opponent down for a turn, move on to your next turn, draw a card. No matter what it is, you've got Raigeki to clear the board, you've got Gemba to revive, you've got Hatsume who is now effective again, so it's really endless from there. You've got your Diagram play if you wanted to, but if you normal summon your Gemba can then bring this one back or add it to your hand, and then of course you've got Diagram can then pop Fuma, and then your plays then just go off from there. So you'd pop Fuma, you could bring out your Kizaru if you wanted to, and that would search you. No, you can't bring out your Kizaru, sorry, because we've gone through all of those. You've kind of got plays there. You've got a Synchro level 5 there. If you want to get rid of your VFD, you can do. That's your biggest issue, is that the VFD has taken out your extra monster zone. But it doesn't mean you can't run rampant, especially when you've got the Fire True King in hand as well. If you wanted to get, if you search the Water True King off the Diagram, you would then have the ability to put the Wind True King on board with the Fire True King and attack, plus your VFD, and a 6 Sam monster as well. And you've already cleared their board, so you should have game by then, unless you're running into a trap. It's a trap. Anyway, let's start getting a bit more aggressive, shall we? So we're now going to start going second, and we're going to show you what that 6th card can do for the deck. So, our first hand of 6 will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going for a full 6 Samurai board, apparently. We're going to activate Shen's Smoke Signal. In this instance, I would probably search out my Kageki, because that gives me the ability to get Dojo active and get United active. So I would activate Dojo, I would activate United, normal summon Kageki. Now obviously this is a gamble part, because if your opponent stops Kageki's summon, you're in a bit of a spot, but you'd then have to use Monster Reborn anyway. I think if possible. Anyway, Kageki's effect would go off, special summon out your Fuma. You've got 2 on Dojo, you've got 2 on United, so we would now shuffle this deck because I want the United draw before I use Dojo. Of course I could try and bait out an Ash if I'm worried about that, and use Dojo first, and see if they want to stop me getting another Fuma to hand in case I've got more plays. Cut that. Activate United's effect to draw 2. Kazan and a True King's Return. That's quite busted. If I want more off of a Dojo, I can of course special summon out one Kazan, special summon out a second Kazan. That's now on 4. If I want to, I can turn this into a Hatsume, or of course I can turn this into a Kizaru. Kizaru would then search, but of course whatever he searches isn't going to do me too much. So with Dojo on board, we're probably best going into a link monster. So if we link the Kigeki and the Fuma together and go into our Izodil's effect can then send, where are we, Black Pendant. Send our Black Pendant, ban our opponent for 500, special summon out our second Fuma. We now obviously have a Shien play on board, but we do have a Trishula play on board as well if we want to. Dojo is now up to like 5. So if we want to, you go into a Trish of 9, rip one from our opponent's hand, field and graveyard because we're going second. That does give us some crazy plays to go with. That then in turn rips one from our opponent's hand. If we want to bait out 2 traps or 2 spells and traps, we could go into Shien and then Monster Reborn it if we link it up. Entirely up to you. So Dojo's still at 5. We've banished one from our opponent's hand, field and grave. So Trish is a really good option there. Dojo's on 5. Now it's up to us what we want to go to. If we take out 3 and go with Hatsume, Hatsume can then banish. Again, if we want to go for a link 2 or 4, or of course if we want to go into our Herald of Art Light, but of course we're going more aggressive. If we get rid of, if we went to Gigeki, we'd go into MX Invoker, search one out, special summon out a monster, and then link up. Really dependent on where you want to go from here. So if we, tell you what, if we go Hatsume banish 2, give us Kigeki. Kigeki and Hatsume overlay. Dojo's now gone. Go into MX Invoker, Invoker's effect. Bring us out our Kizaru. At least this way we've got a bit of build up for next turn play. So Kizaru can search us out a Kigeki, our Gemba. Yeah, our Gemba or our Fuma. Now obviously our Gemba gives us a bit more security next turn because we do then get to add back our Kazan and then special summon the Kazan out. Now we have the ability to link these 3 up if we want to and go straight into our Borolo Dragon. Put Borolo here and then he's got 2 spaces to rob. We can then of course now activate Monster Reborn and bring back any of these that we want to. Not hugely battering. Our other option of course is we could keep Kizaru on board and then linked up into, so I'll show you the other option. If we don't go into Borrowload and we want to be more aggressive, we can leave the board as is like that. Link these up into a Deco Talker. So if you're worried about back row, go into Deco Talker, then activate Monster Reborn, bring back your Fuma, sync those. If you want to be aggressive and go for game, you go for High Speed Boy Shambara. That is game. There's no question about it. That is game straight there. If you're worried about back row, you go into Shien. Shien gets to turn off one of the back rows, and then you've got a 3-3, a 2-7, and a 2-5 going in. Your return's not really that helpful right now because we didn't get any of the True Kings to board, but it does act as a very, very kind of cool deterrent should your opponent pop it. You can kind of go from there. So it's really when if you feel you've got game, if your opponent's not got any back row, I'd say go Shambara. That's game for an OTK. If your opponent has back row, I'd go with Shien and Protection. It's not going to be a strike because you would have thought they would have striked one of your monsters earlier on. So if anything, it would be a Mirror Force or something like that. Cool, so now let's go for our second test hand, going second, and again try and be more aggressive. You saw in that first hand we have the ability to OTK. And also be defensive and protective should we want to. So we'll cut this one up and then we'll go into our next test hand and we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wow, they really don't want me going True Kings turn 2, do they? We'll go Smoke Signal, activate our dojos as well. Activate our dojos and our United. Now I would rather go with Hatsume on this one. from the smoke signal, purely because it gives me the most to board rather than having a Fuma. Especially when I've got dojos to play with. Okay, so normal summon the Kigeki. Kigeki's effect to special summon our Hatsume. 2 on United, 2 on Dojo, 2 on Dojo. We're going to activate United now and draw 2. Not the True Kings I wanted, but okay. We can now activate both our dojos if we want to. That in turn gives us either a Gemba if we want it, or of course can bring us out 2 Fumas. Now by going into a Fuma we have the ability for a Synchro 7, but if we hold on to the dojos for now, we can overlay these into our MX Saber Invoker. We can use that effect to bring us out a Kizaru. Shame Kizaru can't search out Kizan, but you know. Kizaru can then search us out a Hatsume. Obviously, if we left Hatsume on board, you would then do all your plays, use Hatsume's ability to go from grave. This one gives you into a Misius Radiant after you've brought out a Kizan, and then you've got dojo plays to take you into a Shien or higher if you need to. So let's do. Let's not search out Hatsume. What am I thinking? Let's search out. Well, it could be Fuma if you want it to be. Let's go with Gemba. Special summon out our Kizan. These both now go up to 3 tokens each. We will now link these up. Now, if we want to, we can go into Azodil. There we go. Use her effect to send Black Pendant to pop our opponent for 500. Bring out a Fuma. These now go up to 4. Again, if you want to be more aggressive, you can go Chambara. If you're worried about back row, go into Shien. Might even have the ability to go into both, I think, in a minute. So look, they now both go up to 6. Not that that's a huge issue right now. Activate Dojo's effect to go into Hatsume. Use Hatsume's effect to banish Kazan and Kageki. And bring out. Oh, I could have left Gemba in deck, and then Gemba would have given me a bit more as well. So again, that's probably a misplay on my part. If I foresee this, I would leave Gemba in deck. I can then use Dojo to bring Gemba out straight away. That's a Shambara, and that could probably be game there. So ideally, if we bring back the Fuma, Dojo goes up to 7. Now we're just going a bit overboard with that. We could use Dojo's effect, and that gives us 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Only gives us an 8 on board, or a 7. Again, it's entirely up to you. You could, if you wanted to, bring out another Fuma, and that gives you into your Shambara. So this isn't probably the ideal play, or the best play that I would say to go with. But you know, if you feel you can go for game, then yeah, okay, go with this. Because then what you would do is you would sync. If you're 100% you've got game on board, this is an option to give you that game. So you'd sync those into your Herald, then you would sync these again. Obviously Dojo would be gone by now, and go into your Chambara. Now, you've got True King's Returner again as a bit of a bait this turn, but your Shien goes in for 25. Your Azodil goes in for 16. We've already burnt it for 500 already. You've got a 22 and then a 24. So depending on what your opponent's got on board, again, that's possibly game. 2, 4, 6. Yeah, that's game. So that gives you another game opportunity right there. Right, let's do our final test stand, go in second. And I've shown you kind of the variations we've got in this deck, both aggression and, of course, defense. Let's just show you the final time to see if we can OTK our opponent again. Hopefully there'll be some True Kings in this one. Okay, so our last test hand of 6 will be 1, yes, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All the True Kings, none of the 6 Sams. Sad, sad days. Okay, it's actually okay. So we'd go Gateway, we would go Activate Shien, Smoke Signal, search us out our Fuma. We've got quite a good play actually. You could Regeki preemptively to deal with any of your opponent's kind of issues that might disrupt your boards. Get us into our Fuma. I'm not going to shuffle because we're going to go through this a lot. Activate the Wind True King's effect, destroying Barastos and Fuma. that comes to board. Fuma's effect and Barastos' effect goes off. So Fuma's effect gives us... The only issue with this is it can't search you out another Fuma, so that's a bit of a shame. But if we go into Kizaru, we still haven't used our normal summon anyway. Gateway goes up to 2. Barastos gives us the Fire True King, and then Kizaru gives us our Hatsume. I'd think about that one for a second. Normal summon our Hatsume, Gateway goes up to 4. We use all 4 tokens to search ourselves out our Kizan. We would then use our Kizan to special summon himself, and Gateway goes back up to 2. We can then link these guys together if you want to. You can overlay them. I wouldn't advise it, but you can. Go into your Azodil. Your Azodil can then send your Black Pendant again, burning your opponent for 500, and special summon out a Fuma. Gateway then goes up to 4. We're going to use all 4 of those tokens to get us our Kizan. And we're going to special summon him out, putting that up to 2 again, sorry. We're then going to sync these guys together for 5, giving us a Shien, putting that back up to 4. We're going to use all 4 tokens to search out our 3rd and final Kizan. We're going to... Let's have a look, see what we've got first. Going to overlay these. If you want to be aggressive and you don't want to tribute off or slow your opponent down, in this scenario you could go into your Enter Blafnir just to banish any kind of... We've regekied the board, so there's not got any monsters. Banish any disruptive back row or rip one from your opponent's hand if you want to. Shien's going to protect you from board wipes in general. We're then going to special our Kizan, that goes up to 2. We're then going to use Hatsume's effect to banish that 1 Fuma and 1 Kizan to bring us out... Actually, not banish Kizan, sorry. Kizaru to bring us out our Fuma. Gateway then goes up to 4. Use 4 tokens of that and add Kizan back to hand. You can then link these guys up. So use all 3 of those and go into Borrowload over this side. Then you can special summon out your Kizan again, that goes up to 2. You can then sync these again if you want to. Entirely up to you on what you want to do. Your opponent's not got any monsters to worry about, so Borrowload isn't that big of a threat to them. But you've now got all 3 of these on board. You could have gone a little further. If you played 2 Shien, you would then put Gateway back up to 4. You would then bring back another Kizan, special summon another Kizan, and kind of push even further from there. But if our opponent's got a Mirror Force or anything, we're dealing with that with Shien. We would then go into Enter Blafnir. If you're again worried about even more back row, you can attack with Borrowload, and I believe you can use Borrowload's effect to, let's say you attack with Shien and they try to activate Mirror Force or whatever to try and bait you out. You then attack with Shien. Then if you think they've got another Mirror Force, you can chain Borrowload's Dragon's effect to render one of these down by 500, because then your opponent cannot chain in reaction to that. Cannot activate cards or effect in response to this effect's activation, so it then stops them being able to activate a second Mirror Force on that Shien's effect if you want to. It's not foolproof, but it does kind of stop them and slow them down. Regardless, you've got game on board right there. There's nothing that your opponent can really do getting through that. Anyway, sorry that took so long, but it's a very, very heavy combo-based deck, but it is incredibly fun and powerful. And everything I've did there are alterations to it, or alternatives to it, should you wish to choose that route. It is entirely open. That is the best thing about the 6-Sam deck is, there's no one way of doing everything. Ideally, I personally prefer going to VFD. You might prefer to go into Trish and then Enter Blafnir to leave your opponent with like 2 cards in hand. So again, it really comes down to personal preference, but I hope this has helped, and I hope it's given you a couple of ideas about the deck and just giving you a bit more of a, all-round kind of feel of how the deck kind of operates in that sense. But thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, guys, as always, happy dueling. Also, YouTube, thanks for watching that video. I hope you liked it. If you did, hit that like button. And of course, don't forget to hit that big red subscribe button in the bottom left-hand corner and the notification bell so you don't miss out on anything. We've got more deck profiles, duels, pack openings, and many more Yu-Gi-Oh videos coming up for you all year round. So don't forget to stay tuned for all of that. Thanks, and as always, guys, happy dueling.